Insurgency's audio is done magnificently well for a game of its scale. Gunshots are realistic and make the weapons intimidating. Footsteps and other random sounds made by enemy movements, if listened to carefully, can pinpoint his location. Explosions are harsh and loud as they would be in real life. Everything is designed to sound as accurate as possible to the real world. Furthermore, bullets snap as they pass overhead, or nearby sound is limited when players are nearby explosions. These features are all encompassed to provide the player with a realistic experience while playing an arcade-style shooter. Though the one downside of the sound design in this game is that when in the menus, the background music isn't that great, but serves its intentions well. As far as graphics are concerned with Insurgency, overall they're pretty good, though lacking in some places. Models in the game are very accurate whenever it comes to guns, but characters like the US soldiers are lacking in a bit of detail. Also, I felt that the game's textures were a bit lacking in terms of other shooters, though it doesn't draw away from the experience at all. Overall, the graphics just felt generic and under detail whenever it came to anything but the guns. Switching to the UI side of graphics is where the game has some faults, because Insurgency's menus are very confusing at first play and hard to navigate, though once figured out it's fairly easy to find what a player needs to find a match. The gameplay of Insurgency mostly consists of various multiplayer modes. These can be subdivided into sustained combat, tactical operations, cooperative, and competitive matches. Sustained combat consists of 4 modes, which is comprised with your typical shooter modes. For example, a King of the Hill, linear objective capture, search and destroys, as well as objective protection are included in these. These modes in sustained combat make up most of the gameplay in the community. Tactical operations and competitive are 2 match types which deal with the more skilled players seeking a challenge, with tactical operations dealing with mostly one-life scenarios as well as VIP protection, while the competitive game mode deals with a CSGO-esque firefight. And lastly, cooperative matches, which have players team up to compete various objectives like hunting insurgents, etc. When it comes to individual gameplay and mechanics, the game is split into 1 or 2 teams depending on the type of match. Each team has a certain amount of squads depending on the game mode, with a lot of loadouts like snipers, support gunners, and riflemen. Each of these classes have different weapons they choose from at the start of the game, which uses supply points. You can only use a certain amount of supply points for each class, so your character loadout must be chosen for the player's preference. The only complaint I have with this system is that you cannot save these loadouts between matches, but they aren't hard to figure out if the player knows what they are comfortable with. Once completed with these, the player will spawn in waves, which occur at certain points in the game to refresh the dead players. The newly spawned players will compete with the opposing team by eliminating them or taking over the required objective for the mode. All of these game modes and the gunplay itself provides a diverse experience for what otherwise would have been another generic shooter. Though Insurgency is very akin to arcade shooter games like CSGO, I feel it has much more playability than those types of games because of its variety of matches and of its lineup of casual, competitive, and cooperative game modes. This I feel makes it stand out from the crowd, though it still suffers from the repetitiveness that these types of games experience. So my verdict is it will resonate with these players much longer than most arcade shooters, but not for very much longer. As aforementioned, Insurgency is a multiplayer game that focuses on player versus player aspects, and therefore lacks any story, though it could be argued that there is one overlaid in the multiplayer matches in the game, but I feel that this is a bit of a stretch. As for my opinion of the game, I have really enjoyed playing the game overall, and it provides a mix-up whenever it comes to arcade shooters, even though this genre has been saturated as of late. Though in saying that, I don't think it's something that I can play continuously like many other games that I have played before it. The reason being because of its similarities to other games and its setbacks and graphics and UI, where I could go play another without having to deal with those issues.